seriously, you guys are the masters here. I'm just sort of facilitating, and
Jason, speak as loud as you can, because some of us have a hard time hearing.
Excellent, thank you. Very good point. Once again, I am very soft-spoken, so once again, cell phones off, all that sort of stuff. If you can pay extra special attention, that helps. If you can't hear me in the back, just raise your hand, say louder, or get off stage, or whatever it is. So it's all good.
If we can't hear you in the middle, we'll do the same thing.
Please do. Yes, absolutely.
If you can't hear him back here, how will you know?
Welcome. Welcome. So,
I was asking about you. Okay, sorry, we have wandering people coming in.
this is excellent. More hearts, the better. So, let's see, I've been through a lot of training with different teachers. My main two teachers are a Kriya Yoga teacher from the dynastic lineage, which means it's not the disciplic lineage. A lot of people know about Kriya Yoga from Paramahansa Yogananda. That's the disciplic lineage. There's a father-to-son lineage from Lahiri Mahasaya. So my teacher that I was just spending time with for a couple weeks now up in Washington is his great-grandson. And I didn't even know he was around. But one thing led to another, and I happened to become initiated. And it's a long story, but he's a great teacher. One of my other teachers that Ruth mentioned is Drunvalo Melchizedek. And if you'll permit me, if you've ever seen this symbol before, so is there anyone that hasn't seen this symbol before? Let's put it that way. Probably easier. Okay, this is called the flower of life. It doesn't matter if it's this way or this way. This way is more masculine, this way is more feminine. It doesn't matter. But this symbol, and largely the Merkaba meditation, is Drunvalo's work. And it's been, probably, I think since the 80s, certainly since the mid-80s, that he started teaching. So once again, this is a very remarkable symbol. Almost everybody's seen it these days. It's on computer backgrounds and coffee mugs and on and on and on. This symbol is the creation symbol. It is literally the symbol through which everything in this reality was created, without exception, down to the color of your eyes and the color of your hair, the color of your skin. And he shows that very clearly in his first two books, Flower of Life, Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life, Volumes 1 and 2. He now has Volume 3 ready as well. It's not at the printers yet, it hasn't been published yet, but it is ready. It's just kind of holding back for the right time to come out. But Drunvalo Melchizedek has said that in those books, he has written it down and proven it so that it could be proved in a court of law that this is that creation symbol. And he takes various levels of reality from crystals to human beings to plants and shows how literally all of creation has come out of this. Again, this is a really huge subject. I'm not going to go into that tonight, but please know that that's the lineage, that's where this is coming from. So, I teach his Awakening the Illuminated Heart workshop. In 2014, Drunvalo stopped teaching that and gave it to just us teachers. There's about 250 of us worldwide that have been certified. There's a lot of other teachers out there who aren't certified who are teaching similar stuff, and that's why I make that distinction. So in 2014, he gave it over to us, and he started teaching something new as well. This information is in the Ancient Secret of Flower of Life, Volume 3. So that's what we're waiting to get out to the world. He taught, I think, 4 of those workshops. In the beginning, it was called The Way to Do is to Be. I think he did 2 of those. And then he changed the name to Cosmic Grace. So if you ever heard of either of those 2 workshops or know anybody that's been to those, like Sherry, for instance, that's what it is. And it's that work. It's that advanced work. So Melchizedek means someone who can move through all 144 levels of life and remain stable. And it's somebody who has basically gone up back to source, and at that point you have a choice. You can either come back in and spirit will use you sort of as a doctor to go to places that need attention, or you can go back to source. So a Melchizedek is someone who's come back in. And there's more about that, but that's enough for our minds right now. One of the things that Drunvalo mentions in a very excellent video, again, this is probably not on YouTube, I do know that it's on DVD. It's a video called The Ultimate Love Story. And he explains in there how, you know, when he was doing his workshops at that time, he used to have lots of slides and props. You know, he'd have the platonic solids up here and other sacred geometric shapes and audio recordings and lots of stuff. He used to have, like, I think, like 2 big cases that he would go through airports with all over the world. For this particular presentation, The Ultimate Love Story, his guides said, don't take anything. Just be there and express what's within you. So at that point, he was also realizing, and spoke this to the audience, that what we really need to do is to suspend our judgmental mind, to just suspend the judgmental faculty just a little bit. You know, this is really hard for us. And again, he was saying this back in the mid-90s, really hard for us. But that's going to be the key, and I'm going to be touching on that throughout the evening. The mind and how it gets in the way of our intuition. So just a little bit more information about this for your minds to educate them. When mitosis begins, and we all came from one cell impregnated with a sperm, and then mitosis, you know, takes that 1 cell, 2 cells, 4 cells, 8 cells, 16, etc. It becomes 512 cells, right about there, slightly larger. The blastoma is what it's called, the cluster of cells starts beating. And we've seen this, we see this in sonograms now, with babies in the womb. So there was a time when you were in your mother's womb when you were nothing but a heart. And that's common to all of us. After that, the first part of the body that comes out is the tip of the tongue, and then the heart gets kind of tucked into the body, and the rib cage, and the limbs come out, and the head grows. So all this head stuff in the brain comes afterwards. And again, the heart is more primary. The Heart Math Institute out of Stanford University has also found that there are over 40,000 neurons in the heart. In other words, brain cells in your heart. So there is a primal intelligence that is beyond the brain. So while I was with my Kriya Yoga teacher a couple weeks ago, I was asked a question. So what do you teach? Do you teach to quiet the mind? And it's kind of a trap, actually, because asking the mind to quiet itself is like, thank you for the joke, it's like a surgeon trying to do surgery on themselves. It doesn't work. So once the mind realizes that it can't apprehend, let alone comprehend the reality, it begins to let go. And that's what we're getting to. When that happens and how that happens is unique to each and every individual here. But it happens. And it's also been said that God lives in the gaps between your thoughts. These are the directions, the signposts of where we're going to tonight. So I'd like to begin, even before I tell a little bit more about Drunvalo and his beginnings of the story, I'd like to begin with some comedy. And I know from listening to Bill and the rest of everybody that you guys are all about laughing, so that's the point here. So the first one, why is 6 afraid of 7? And if you know this, just please answer.
Because 7, 8, 9.
Thank you, yes, because 7, 8, 9. Now, I heard this joke. These are all going to be clean jokes. These are ones you can tell your grandkids, okay? So, I heard this joke in Mexico, and it didn't translate very well, you know? Septa ocho nueve doesn't have the same meaning. So yeah, that was funny in itself. Who likes knock-knock jokes? Everybody like knock-knock jokes? Okay, so on the count of 3, you guys say knock-knock.
Knock.
Who's there?
Who's there?
You get the joke? Yeah. A lot of people don't get that.
Okay.
So this third one, you know, I was coming up Roswell Road and I noticed that Anne Frank, is it a museum or exhibit or something like this? And I do have some tinnitus, so, you know, I could tell deaf jokes, but I'd rather tell a blind joke because I'm almost legally blind without these. I need these to drive. So, you know, just like if I were to tell a Christian joke, I would say that I'm an Orthodox Christian, or a Jewish joke, I'd say that I have some Jewish lineage. So that's my disclaimer. So, a platypus and a walrus and Helen Keller walk into a bar. And then they walk into a table, and then a chair. Thank you. So that's the end of the comedy. Well, I'll do one more at the end. I'll do one more joke, time permitting, at the end.
Please don't.
So back to Drunvalo. He, again, besides all this Flower of Life stuff, he attended over 72 mystery schools around the world. That's basically how he got his knowledge and put it all together. A lot of people don't know this, but he was a dowser. And in his up-and-coming years, he was trained as a dowser. He used to use the sticks, the dowsing sticks. And I don't know the name of his teacher, but you guys would probably recognize the name. I don't know, but it was probably back in the 70s. And he was working so much that, like, these sticks would break on him very often. So he had this like backpack full of dowsing sticks, and he'd go around the property, have a breaker, and get another one out. And that was the beginning of his basically proving to himself that this intuition, this knowledge that's within us, not up here, but the innate life knowledge, is real, and that you can trust it. See, the brain is reasonable. It's a reasonable instrument. It's logical. If it's not logical, you get one of these special jackets in a padded room. But the heart doesn't have to be in those constraints. And again, because the heart is universal, and we are also universal. We are unique and universal beings here. We tend to focus more on the uniqueness because it's the differences that make it interesting, generally speaking. The similarities, a lot of people get bored, and it's usually, once again, the brain that gets bored. So that's where we're going to. There's a couple more, I guess, aspects I'd like to elucidate about this before we get to the actual experiential stuff. And what I mean by that is we're going to, at one point, pair off and do exercises with each other. But we're also going to, besides that, I got some, not quite handouts like Ruth was mentioning, but I've got some things to experiment with. So I've got different stones, I've got a smudge spray, and vibrational things to help us remember our center. And again, to remember this innate intelligence, this life intelligence that's within us. Not this. Now, one of the reasons why we're not so brain-oriented, once again, if you take the brain out of the body, for instance, it's so polarized, you have to hold the sides together. It's a polarized instrument. So the heart is a unified instrument, and it knows only unity. It doesn't say, only these people are going to be saved and we're going to leave everybody else behind. It wants a win-win situation for everyone. So that's, again, where we're coming from for this work and where we're pointing towards. So any questions about this real quick? Yes?
Right after you said that we're unique and universal, you said sometimes the brain gets bored. We get bored with being universal, or we can't get our brain around it. How did those connect?
we get, when we are in absolute unity, back with Source, so to speak, there's oneness. And that's atemporal, and that's, again, towards our unified being. So there's, quote, nothing to do at that point. And that's, the brain goes, oh. At one point, it will actually let go. But that's what we're pointing at, is it's a reasonable instrument, and it needs reasons to let go. So this is what Drunvalo was doing with the Dowsing, proving it to himself that this is real. And it needs to be proved to. The brain does. The heart knows this already. The heart knows all this stuff already. Has anybody encountered Sufism in here?
I just came from a month of Sufi camp.
Excellent. So you know about the Isma Alahi, the wazifas that they use, the like Ir-Rahman, Ir-Rahim.
Yeah.
These different words are qualities that are within the heart. They're already there, but they need to be brought forth. So the Sufis, for instance, say these wazifa, it's like a mantra, to bring forth, to nurture the seed and then to bring it forth. When we get back to the vibrational thing, we'll touch on this a little bit more, and go towards a more universal mantra or wazifa, a vibration once again. But that's coming later on, so I need to get a drink of water real quick. It's a hot, long drive down here. All right. So, I guess the first thing would be to, again, show you guys the where we're at, and then again to point out a little bit more of where we're going to. So where we're at generally in brainwave language is beta. We're very active in our brains, and that's the ordinary everyday sort of consciousness. There's one level that's just above there that we can access that will actually help us come into our hearts and this life knowledge, this intuition within us, and that's alpha. It's when I say higher, it's literally a slightly higher vibration, hertz-wise. Simply said, alpha is happiness or bliss, and it's accessible to all of us. Though, usually in our 40s, it starts diminishing. Babies are born and they're full of life, and they've got tons of alpha, and it's just pouring off of them. And you know, teenagers and on through our 20s, but right around, say, 35, 40, it starts going down a little bit. And you know, 50, 60, it's down lower. What Drunvalo says is by the time you're like 70, it's like, what alpha? But that doesn't have to be. There are ways of learning how to generate alpha waves within us. And it's very, very easy stuff. Once again, it's really probably the easiest way is just to have a good memory. Just to remember some blissful time from your childhood and to really enter into that memory, to make it real and to feel it as if you were there. And this alone will increase your brain waves. It'll increase your alpha. And we have 4 quadrants of the brain. It also will help to balance those quadrants. So just think good thoughts. I know you guys have all heard about that before. Don't worry, be happy, all that stuff. It's really true. It really is. And what they're learning is that, again, through this work that I can elucidate more in the workshop, and again, if you ask me afterwards, I'll tell you about it. Sherry can tell you about it, Cheryl can tell you about it. We can teach older folks to actually become younger. And it's very, again, very simple, very easy stuff. And I've seen it happen with more than just Drunvalo. So all of this stuff that I'm talking about up here is scientifically provable. That's part of what our brain does nowadays, to say, okay, yes, I can go along with that. But and though that is important, what's more important to me is that it's reproducible in yourselves as an experience. So though I will be referring to other teachers like Drunvalo or Shibendu Lahiri, etc., this is stuff that I've experienced within myself. I'm not going to be telling you anything that I haven't done my own self. So it's speaking from experience. Otherwise, it's what we call borrowed knowledge. You know, if you read a book or somebody tells you something, that's borrowed knowledge. So that's what we're aiming at, is experience within yourself. Now, I would be remiss if I just let you go on experience, because experiences come and they go. And what experiences are pointing to is, again, your existence, which is. It doesn't go away. It has been, it always will be. And it is here now. So occasionally, we forget. We're not present. We're not conscious. So how do we do that? First, usually, the first thing that usually comes in is recognizing that you weren't there. You go, where was I? And then, how do you lengthen that time of consciousness, of being present? This is our work. So when we're born, we come in here pretty much with a clean slate, a clean piece of paper. And then we go to school, we get enculturated, we have socialization process, education, and society does this, our friends and family do this. It's part of the process. But what this is, it's like writing things down on your piece of paper. And the more things you have on your piece of paper, the smarter you are. And the less accessible you are to your heart. So, forgive me if I'm quoting The Empire Strikes Back and Yoda, but you must unlearn. And that's what it's about, really, is this unlearning stuff. And erasing that stuff. Letting us know that there's something beyond knowledge. And what is that? Knowing. When you have an experience, you know it. When you're in love, you know it. When you're driving down the highway, well, you probably better know it. You know? If you see green, you know that it's green. If you see blue, you know that it's blue. There's no questions about it. So that's, once again, what we're pointing towards. So I'm also elucidating, hopefully for you guys, where we're usually at. And there tends to be that gap of where we're at towards where we're going. So I'm going to allow you guys to look at yourselves from within and see where you're at. But as well, I'm going to put up these signposts and say, this is where we're going. This is where we're going. A lot of you guys have probably heard that the journey from the heart, from the head to the heart, is the most important journey that we've had. The most important journey that we can do here. This is largely, this is from my teacher Drunvalo. He mentions in the Flower of Life books, this is what happened in Atlantis, is we fell, you know, and this is the Bible story too, you know, we got kicked out of Eden and all that stuff. We fell from a very high state of consciousness. We were in a unity state of consciousness that we can barely imagine right now. We can, but just barely. And we fell down to this very low state where we have to sort of remember our way back up, climb this, you know, not even rope, it's almost a thread sometimes, to remember our true selves back to source. And believe it or not, we all signed up for this, and before we signed up, we said, yeah, that'll be fun. And then we got here and we're like, oh, it's work. Yes. So this is the work. Now, I would like to quote one book this evening. And this is Taoist work. So let me get that for you. This is Awakening to the Tao by Liu Yiming, translated by Thomas Cleary. This is fairly recent, I want to say, in the 80s, 1988. All right. So he says in here, stupidity and madness. I'm going to read two of these small sections here. Stupidity and madness. The Tao is clear, yet this clarity requires you to sweep away all your clutter. At all times, watch out for your own stupidity. Be careful of how your mind jumps around. When nothing occurs to involve your mind, you return to true awareness. When unified mindfulness is purely real, you comprehend the great restoration. The ridiculous ones are those who try to cultivate quietude. As long as body and mind are unstable, it's madness to go into the mountains. And they're not talking about the physical mountains. They're talking about, go off into a retreat, or, that sort of thing. So once again, at all times, watch out for your own stupidity. Be careful of how your mind jumps around. Has anyone heard the term monkey mind before?
Yes.
Has anyone experienced monkey mind before?
Yes.
Yes. All right.
Tiny penny.
When nothing occurs to involve your mind, you return to true awareness. Once again, I would call this presence as well. It's accessible to all of us, every moment, and yet, the mind does its thing. So this second section is called independence. The Tao is independent. Independence means you have to love yourself. If you yourself are present, things cannot drag you around. If you yourself are absent, your essence is obscured. Ultimately, if you yourself are always home, even the king of death will withdraw in surprise. If you do not know this mechanism, then all the practices you may do will just get in your way. So, if you yourself are present, things cannot drag you around. If you yourself are absent, your essence is obscured. Ultimately, if you yourself are always home, even the king of death will withdraw in surprise. The Sufis say, God's at home, it's us that's gone out for a walk. That's not a joke. That's real. They also say, if you tell a person that there's a treasure underneath their home, it can, and all they have to do is take a pickaxe and pry up the foundation, and they've got a vein of red and gold carnelian that's worth riches. This can sometimes be a cause of suffering, because once again, we're the ones that have gone out for a walk. God's home, but how do we get back home? GPS? Maybe. So, my Sufi teachers also, once again, are very much experiential. So, we're going to do this. And once again, believe it or not, whether you are conscious of it or not, that's why you're here this evening, and you did sign up for this on some level. So, if this is the last chance. The doors are open. You're all very brave souls, and once again, I applaud you and pranam to you, meaning saying namaste to you, for doing this work, for being here, and for being ready to do this. How many of you folks have worked with crystals and stones? How many of you guys like crystals and stones? How many of you have heard of shungite? Excellent. Wow, you guys. So, we're going to work with some shungite. This is a stone, I'll tell you a little basis. It comes from Siberia. There's a couple of different kinds. There's the noble shungite, which is more silvery. There's the type 2 that's more, it's like this. Boom. It's more blackish and it has this sort of silver veins in it. But I'm going to pass some around, and if everyone can have at least one shungite stone, I think there's 26 people in here, so I'm pretty sure that I've got enough, but let me know, okay? So I'm going to pass, I'll start passing with. All right, so.
You sure it's not plastic?
Positive, absolutely. Can douse it and see. So the very first thing now that everybody's got a piece at least, 2 pieces perhaps? Okay, so just set them aside for a moment. Or in your lap or whatever. We're going to do a quick meditation. Is everybody familiar with meditation? Anybody not familiar with meditation? So what we're going to do for just 3 minutes is to connect with Mother Earth. in any way that's comfortable to you. So just, feel your flow, feel this connection with her, send gratitude to her, however you do it. Just feel this connection with Mother Earth for the next 3 minutes. Go ahead and do that now. I'll time it. This group is obviously a bit more into intuition than even the folks at Whole Foods usually, walking around. So I'm not sure that there's going to be much difference, but this is an experiment, so we're just going to see what happens with all this stuff. I'm kind of working, blind like you guys on this, so to speak. So, I don't know, would you guys like to check your dowsing abilities about something that you know about first, and then use the stones? I don't know how you guys do this.
Depends on what you're trying to accomplish.
Clearer dowsing,
Oh, okay.
more clarity, basically. So go ahead and douse and ask a question that you know the answer to, and see how quickly and clearly it comes forth. Again, a question that you know the answer to, absolutely, not something from up here, a knowingness. Yes?
The heart math people have a book called Heart Intelligence,
Yes.
which is actually phenomenal for me. So I don't douse anymore. I simply put my hand over my heart and put the question in my hand.
Excellent.
And it references it as a yes, no, or whatever.
Very, very good. Have you heard of kinesiology?
Yes.
This is pretty close to the same thing. And once again, you'll see that I can use this as a pendulum. I did at the beginning, but I don't tend to use these divination techniques as so much either. They're crutches, just like these. And when you are connected and you trust that connection, because we're all connected, right? But when you trust that connection and your brain starts to let go, then you can move to the next level, which is, if you have ever used tarot cards or any sort of cards for divination, or astrology. I'm an astrologer as well. These are different forms of divination. And again, they're getting you to this innate knowledge that you have within you already. But we use the tools as long as we need to. Don't get up, if you've got broken legs, you don't get up and not use your crutches, because you might break them again. So use them as long as you need to. And if you don't, that's absolutely valid as well. That's fine. So why am I having you connect with Mother Earth? This is very important. There's a book out there called Earthing. And so who's heard of this Earthing book? It's basically saying that we are electromagnetic beings. And because of our shoes and the tires on our cars and the construction of our homes and buildings, we have largely insulated ourselves from Mother Earth. And we've cut off literally our grounding connection to Mother Earth. So a quick story from Drunvalo about this. Drunvalo is the youngest of several kids, I want to say 5 or 6 siblings that he has. His next oldest sister was, I think she was 85 when this happened. And if you guys have ever heard of Ken Page, he's in this area. He's Drunvalo's nephew. This is Ken's mother that we're talking about, Nita Page. So Drunvalo's sister was getting neuropathy, which is, you can't feel your extremities, especially her feet. She was having trouble with. And the doctors wanted to give her medications and, do what doctors do. And Drunvalo said, well, before you do that, before you get the prescription, just let's try something. And so he had his sister take a lawn chair out, and she had just moved to Sedona, which is where he lives. So he was in close proximity with her. And he said, just sit with your bare feet on the ground for 45 minutes each day. And within a week, all the neuropathy was gone. So the Russians have done research into this. They found 37 different new diseases that are associated with Mother Earth raising her vibration. And because we're so insulated and cut off from her, we haven't yet. So if we are directly connected to Mother Earth, and it doesn't have to be the feet, you can get your hands in the garden or just hug a tree. You know, that old thing of being a tree hugger really works. And it's, don't believe me, folks. You're going to hear me say this again and again, especially if you come to a workshop. Don't believe me, try it yourselves. Prove it to yourselves, however that is. So this is just information, but hopefully it'll go into you on some deeper level. So that's mainly why we talk about earthing, and again, we're going to check in and do that meditation again later and see if we can be a little bit more connected after these techniques and stuff. Yes?
A lot of us that have been light workers tend to be so much in the upper chakras that's why we've got to earth.
Correct.
We've got to get our lower chakras really connected and active and clear.
Very good point.
Consistently connected.
Consistently connected. Very good point, yes. So once again, to bring up Ken Page, he talks about ascension before ascension. You know, everybody's talking about ascension, and we want to get out of here, especially light workers. We're like, yeah, I signed up for this. That's the first 3 chakra stuff. And that's usually the nitty-gritty, dirty stuff that we don't want to even acknowledge, so we just stay up here in our hearts and higher chakras. And everything's fine, and we can see from a unity point of view. It's a personal story. I went vegan for a short time. And this body was born in Wisconsin. My father's body was born in Wisconsin. I've got dairy running through my veins. Yeah. So when I was vegan, I was literally floating off the planet. I had so much energy and I was really blissful, but I wasn't available compassionately to people. And I could notice this. You know, people would come to me and they're suffering, and I'd be like, oh, it's okay, you know, whatever, it's all unity. You'll see your, dead relative after you go to, or you can meet them in meditation, whatever. But I wasn't compassionately available, so I needed to ground out. And that was one of the things that I do to ground myself. My ancestors also ate meat. I have chosen not to eat meat, though occasionally when it's presented to me, I will. I'll take it because there's love in that. And I can see past the meat aspect of it. Now I do bless it. And I do, again, this body, I heard somebody say that their body, I think it was you, John, is programmed. I do that as well. Shinto monks, once again, they talk about changing the water, all this sort of stuff. This is entirely possible, but don't believe me, prove it to yourselves. So get your shungite out and put it in the palm of your hand, and especially the left hand. If you've only got one piece, please place it in your left hand. It tends to be more receiving. And if you've got 2, you can use both hands or put them both in your left hand. It's up to you. And just go within. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of information about this shungite as you feel the vibrations coming from this. So this stone comes from Siberia. There's a website where I got these directly from the mine. Took about 8 weeks to get here because of all the Trump stuff that's going on with the borders and stuff. But it finally got here. So Peter the Great, way back whenever Peter the Great was around, took his army to this place called Karelia in Siberia. And he actually camped there for a short while. And he noticed that all the locals were totally healthy. Really, really healthy. And then as they were camping there and his army was drinking the water, they all got healthy too. All their diseases went away. And he didn't understand why until he talked to the locals, and they said, oh, it's in the water. And what is the water running through? This beautiful slate shungite. And this stone, especially the silver shungite or type 1 shungite, contains literally almost every element on the periodic table. It's mostly carbon. It's anywhere from 90 to 70% carbon. There's a wonderful book about shungite. It's out there. Forget her name right now, but you guys know Phoenix and Dragon. It's probably up there. So educate yourselves about it. That's about as much as I'm going to tell you guys about it right now. But it is I'll say this much. It can reverse electromagnetic energy fields. So if like your cell phone or your computer, which as we know are energy vampires and take energy from us, it literally shifts the toroidal field so that it's an energy giver instead of sucker. It also can purify water. It's been said that at some point in the future, shungite will probably be more valuable than gold. And it's probably because of these properties, once again, because these are the sort of things that we're getting sick from. These are the sort of things that are modern diseases. Once again, not only because we're cut off from Earth, but because of all the things that we're doing. So, you guys get that pretty much. So, once again, connect with the stone, and then when you feel good and connected with it, go ahead and get out your pendulum or dowsing rods, whatever it is, and ask that test question again. Or a different one. It's up to you. But see if there's more clarity. See if there's deeper connection, easier connection. So how is this, folks? Is there any difference?
Yes.
Go ahead.
As
Yes?
soon as I put it in my right hand, there was a pain.
There was a pain, you said?
It was healing it,
Maybe.
Sorry?
is that healing it, pulling away the?
I'm not sure.
I felt something too, and then I didn't.
Yeah? I was going to ask Cindy, what is it?
Maybe it was clearing a block, possibly.
Is what?
Go ahead.
In the block.
I'm not sure. You're welcome. It's up to you guys to know what's going on with your bodies. You know, I can give you suggestions, but I don't know. So let's see a show of hands. Was it more difficult for anybody with the shungite? Okay. Wow. You guys must have some good affinity with Mother Earth, maybe even Russia. Who knows?
Is this the silver shungite? Which variety of shungite is this?
That's the silver, yes.
The silver.
Yes. Type 1 it's called as well. Yep. Phoenix and Dragon does have this, yes. I mean,
On Amazon, you can get the Carillion mine
yes.
shungite.
Absolutely.
They have all kinds of it, everything from pyramids to cell phone protection from EMFs to
Absolutely.
you name it.
I
I
actually recommend...
love this. I love the Carillion.
Right on. If you have patience, I recommend going to the website from Corellia, just because you don't need a middleman. But Amazon, it's already in the country, you don't have to wait, you can ship it to you, so thanks for that. Once again, as Lynn was saying, they've got all sorts of stuff. They've got spheres, pyramids, blocks, different sizes, there's raw stuff, there's polished stuff, there's sculptures made out of it, on and on and on. Tiles, you can get powder for your plants or for other things. And once again, this is entirely safe, folks. It's, you know, your kids can play with it. It'll get them really black, but it's not going to harm them at all. You can actually eat it if you needed to. Have you guys heard about charcoal, like taking charcoal for purification?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do that with shungite. It's just a little bit more expensive. So, but again, it's non-toxic is the point. All right, so I think we're ready for, this is a part of an exercise that we actually do in the ATIH workshop, the Awakening the Illuminated Heart workshop. And what I'd like you folks to do is to pair up with somebody, it doesn't matter who, male or female, nobody's getting married in the next hour or two. So just pair up with somebody, and we're going to switch the chairs around so that you're facing them. And I'd like you to be able to face them, preferably knee to knee, and we're going to be eye gazing at one point. So, and I'll give you further instructions when you're settled. So we can actually just put the shungite aside if you haven't already. The first part of this is going to be an internal meditation. And the second part is going to be opening your eyes and gazing at your partner. Now, when you do gaze at your partner, we're going to, and I'll remind you, look past their eyes, their face, anything that you know about them, past their personality, anything. And you're looking for that divine spark of life that's within each and every person. So when I give you guys the key, or the cue, you've already got all the keys. When I give you guys the cue, open your eyes and gaze at your partner to that spark of divinity within them. So go ahead and close your eyes. And again, remember your connection to Mother Earth. Just feel that connection again. Just remember it. And now remember that each one of us is not only unique, but also universal. We all came from the same source. There's so much more in common with our humanness than the differences. And in your mind's eye, look at your fingernails and your toenails and notice their translucence. Now remember that when you were once in your mother's womb, you were very translucent. You yourself were translucent, all of your cells. Well, guess what, folks? It hasn't changed. We've just gotten bigger and thicker. So, again, in your mind's eye, remember like when you were a kid and you could shine a light through your fingers like a flashlight, and you would see the redness in the skin, and you can see the veins and the bones in there? This is proof. We're still translucent beings. We're still electromagnetic beings and beings of light. So remembering this, along with your earth connection, please now open your eyes and gaze into your partner's eyes. But gaze through their eyes to that spark of life within them. That spark of divinity that's within each and every human being. And just breathe here for a moment. And now notice the energy field of your partner. Continue to gaze in their eyes, but just notice their energy field, especially around their head. Continue to breathe. Always remember to breathe. And now I'd like you to send a pink beam of light from your heart to your partner's heart, and feel that beam coming from their heart to your heart. Just about 2 inches wide or so. Just a beam of pink, pure, loving light. And connect with your partner in this way. And continue to breathe and gaze deeply into their eyes. Feel this connection with the divinity within yourself and your partner. Feel this love flowing back and forth. Now continue to gaze at their eyes, but notice if anything's happened to their energy field. Look around their head with your peripheral vision. Maybe even around their heart, your chest and shoulders area. Just note it. Keep breathing and gazing. Go ahead and close your eyes again. Breathe here for a moment. And remember that your partner is just like you. That they have encountered life's difficulties, and again, this is where our uniqueness comes in. Maybe they've dealt with it differently, but they've got the same desires as you. They want to be loved. They want to be accepted. They want to have meaning and purpose in life. And remember that as we were children, we were all pure and innocent. Came in here with that clean slate, that clean piece of paper. And as you're focusing on the divinity within yourself and the divinity within your partner, the innocence within yourself and your partner, I'd like you to now visualize, again with your eyes closed, now visualize an emerald green light surrounding the both of you like a sphere. Know that this emerald green light is divine love, is healing energy, and is an expression of Mother Earth's love for you and her connection to you personally. And guess what? She's connected to your partner too. So feel this sphere around you, and notice how the sphere around you and your partner is bumping up against other people's spheres. So feel this sphere, your spheres, growing larger and merging with the greater whole. And see this entire room surrounded in this beautiful emerald green love and light, healing energy. Now, once again, focus on your body and your partner's body and this beam of pink divine love that you're sending from your heart to their heart and that you're receiving from their heart into your heart. And focus on this flow once again. Feel it. Feel this flow. Feel the love moving between you and your partner. And now, continuing to feel this flow, open your eyes again and gaze in your partner's eyes one more time. Again, deeply into that sacred spark of life within each and every human being. It's directly connected to Source. And again, continue gazing, but notice with your peripheral vision if anything's happened to their energy field. And the last instruction, when you're ready, lean over and give your partner a hug.
You have a raise? Oh. Oh, whatever. Oh, it did not.
So how was it?
Beautiful.
Any difficulties I should know about?
pair of towels are rude. No.
So this is, again, another tool to change our vibration, to shift. So all these things, you know, the stones, I've got other stones that I'd like to try out with you guys now. These are emeralds, North Carolina emeralds. And, you know, they're not gem quality or anything, but they're workers. So I think I might have just enough, or might be a few short. All right, so are these two the only ones that don't? And Cheryl?
No.
You as well. And Sherry, okay. I'll bring more next time, honest. So let's, once again, I'll tell you a little bit of information about these stones, and then we'll connect with them, and then, again, test with the dowsing. Would you guys like to test with the dowsing, like now, while with that meditation? Okay. So let's do that first. So go ahead and set your emerald aside, or on your lap, or wherever. But mainly douse to, there you go. Thanks. Douse to the effectiveness of that last meditation. How was that for you? And again, don't tell me about it. Prove it to yourselves. See what happened. All right, so how was that for everyone? Did anyone have any difficulties, or was it more difficult after this for anybody? Sometimes it happens, but I'm glad it hasn't here. So now about the emeralds. There's an emerald mine. It's right by Hiddenite, North Carolina, which was named for that stone that was found there as well. And this is basically the only North American emerald mine that you can go and stake a claim. If you find some emeralds on their land, they will let you stake a claim there and dig them out. Pretty much every other place is owned, you know, corporately owned. The other places that you can go to find emeralds, Brazil, of course Colombia has some of the best emeralds in the world, and Burma. Notice that these are all mountainous regions. Why don't we find emeralds at the seashore? Usually because they've been broken down into sand by that time. All stones. So this is why the gems tend to be found in the mountains more. So these emeralds are, again, they're not gem quality, but Mother Earth basically has designated these for light workers. And she wants to get them out into people's hands that are going to use them. So they're not going to be showing up in Tiffany's or any other jewelry store. They're going to be showing up in like Phoenix and Dragon, or the stores up by me in Asheville. And they're, like I say, they're workers. They might not be so pretty, but they've got really nice energy to them. So what is emerald energy? It's, again, like we were saying in that meditation, it's heart energy, it's divine love, it's healing energy, and it's Mother Earth's verdance and abundance. It's that energy, that fecundancy, that fertility, that bringing forth from the seed into fruition. That's the emerald energy. That's the emerald ray. So enough about that. Let's do this. So once again, if you have an emerald, place it in your left hand and close your eyes. Feel your connection with Mother Earth. And breathe with your Mother Earth connection for a moment. And now notice this emerald. And feel its energy. Feel how the ray of pure divine love has manifested as this emerald that's in your hand at this moment. Allow this energy to flow up your arm and into your heart, and to flow through your entire energetic field, once again forming a sphere around you, filled with this pure emerald light, now supported by the actual stone as well. Remember to breathe. And remember to feel this energy. Don't just visualize it or think about it. Feel it. Feel it. Make it palpable. Remember, this is divine love. This is Mother Earth's connection to you, and it's healing energy. So continue to feel this. Continue to know that it's radiating out into that sphere, bless you, that sphere of light around you, that beautiful, pure emerald green light around you. Feel it in your hand, feel it in your heart, feel it in your field. And remember to breathe. Just a few more breaths here. Okay, now open your eyes and do your test dowsing. See where you're at. See how your intuition is. See what your connection is like. I use this one. Sorry?
I use this one.
Excellent.
Tell you about this.
Yeah. That works. So how is that for everyone? Okay. Any difficulties once again? All right. So these are tools once again. This is what we call the stone realm, or the stone, I call them the stone people. So got a couple more things in my bag of tricks. A couple of you already got a dose of this earlier. This is an aura smudge. It's a smokeless juniper sage mist. Here we are. It's got filtered water that's been vortexed and magnetized to raise the energy to a higher vibration. Again, they have the disclaimer by saying we believe to be more beneficial. has vegetable glycerin, the Salvia officinalis, which is Dalmatian sage, and juniper in it, Juniperus communis oils. So basically give it a shake. And
Jason, who makes that?
yes, Heritage Store.
Okay, that's fine. I just can't be around young living oils.
Okay. Is anybody sensitive? I know Yvonne is. To essential oils, scents, etc. So if you are sensitive, just kind of do it in your field like that. But if you're not so sensitive, you can, don't take a bath with it or anything. If you want. I'm going to pass this around so everybody can get a little dose. And then we'll check from there as well. And I purposely didn't do this in the room beforehand. Because I want to just see where you guys are at and see, again, if this is effective or not.
You look younger. You look younger.
You want us to douse it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do it. We douse it first. Oh, okay.
Bill, find out what I like something.
Can I drive home tonight? Oh.
Give me your keys.
Off the scale.
So, yes.
There's supposed to be a mine in Georgia. I have a friend who went there and she doesn't know how to clear, how to clean the stones. Do you know anybody to connect with that would?
Absolutely. I'd be happy to do that. That's part of my path, yes.
Okay.
To address Bill's comment here, he said he's dowsing. It's going off the charts.
Yeah, on my scale, it's plus 800.
Excellent. Plus 800, he says.
Normally, top of the scale is 18.
Normally the top of the scale is 18. Excellent. So science has found this out about
Kinda
sage.
scary.
Sage is one of the heaviest, densest smokes, and yet it rises almost quicker than any other. And science doesn't know why. Native Americans, they don't have any questions about this. They already know. And this is Dalmatian sage. This is just regular garden sage. The wild sage that we tend to use, the white sage that we usually get in smudge sticks, even a higher vibration.
You use the wild on Friday night?
I use it all the time, man. Yeah, so you guys are familiar with smudging usually, right? Yeah, so this is, again, a different form, but it's the same sort of stuff. It's just essential oils. Yes?
How would you compare the smudging to like Tibetan singing bowls for clearing?
Good question. Similar, though the Tibetan bowls tend to be more of again, though they do have sort of this wavering that we call binaural beats or heterodyning, it's more of a isolated vibration, whereas the sage just gets everything. So it's almost like the difference between a light bulb and a laser. The light bulb would be like the sage or the smudging. Just illuminates the entire room. There's no dark corners anymore, whereas a laser is more pointed, more direct.
Would there be any kind of sound instrument healing, like maybe drumming, that would do the same thing as the sage?
Similar things. And what we're getting at, have you used crystal bowls before? Crystal singing bowls?
I know. I've
Okay.
been where they've been used, but I don't have one.
Okay, so those again are, from my point of view, more of a direct vibration. And they can, again, clear the entire room, but on a certain vibrational level. So smudging gets all of it, from, the nitty gritty to the highest high. It's a nice way of saying it.
Is the spray the same kind of thing as just smudging?
Yes, it's pretty close, yeah.
Okay.
I do have smudging equipment. I actually carry it with me in my medicine bag, which goes with me everywhere, but I'm not prepared to do that in here, and I don't think it's even allowed. So I didn't ask.
They might question what we were doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I get enough profiling as it is, right?
They'll be like, were they smoking?
So once again, these things are judgments, and they come from the mind. And it's best if we can bring some levity to the situation and laugh about it. But there's some people who aren't laughing and take things a little bit too seriously. So a quick note on this, taking things too seriously, that's one of my issues, folks. Have you ever looked at kids when they're like playing like adults? They're like, okay, you play like you're a lawyer or, a doctor or a fireman, and they get like all stiff and they're like doing, the adult thing. That's us, So to be able to first off laugh at yourself and then lighten up a little bit. This is another huge tool. Accepting and allowing yourself, being able to be vulnerable, as I was speaking to Jerry about earlier when we were outside. I was grounding when I first got here.
Are you telling us that this is not FDA approved?
This is not It's not endorsed by the current government
make sure.
or anything like that. Nothing like that. Triple letter agencies, they don't even exist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Never heard of them?
Jason,
Yes.
7 more minutes.
Thank you. Okay, so we got 7 more minutes, folks. So this is actually one of the last things, but it's not quite the last. So we're going to test Dow's test for this one as well in a moment once it's gone all the way around.
So when you're ready to finish off with the final thing, that will literally clear the room. Well, whatever.
No.
Okay.
It's the joke at the end that's going to clear.
Okay, I'll wait. I thought it was appropriate.
We're saying 7 minutes because I'd like to have some question and answers as well. I think that was in the newsletter that got sent out. Yes.
Funny story. My kids grew up with me always smudging the house. So my daughter finally has her own condo, and I got her a smudge stick before we left town. When we came back to visit her in St. Pete, she said, "Mom, I smudged the house, but the sparks went everywhere and burned holes in my couch and my rug." I'm like, "You didn't hold a shell underneath it?" She's like, "I was supposed to." I'm getting some of this for her.
Trial and error, Yes.
How many neural cells did you say the brain had?
I've seen different studies.
40,000.
At least 40,000.
40,000.
I've seen the studies go up to 60,000, 72,000. So I'm going with the most conservative studies, most conservative estimates. At least 40,000.
You mentioned that when the fetal cells begin to have their own beat, rather.
Yes.
That was at, how many cells were it?
It's just past 512. I had a friend that I was telling this to, and he says, "Oh, he's from India, so pardon the accent. Oh yes, I saw this on my child. Yes, we were looking in the thing on the screen. We could see it was beating. You are correct. How did you know this?" I'm like, got good teachers. That's how I know. But again, he's affirming it for me.
Right.
He's not affiliated with this stuff at all, and he's like, "Yeah, you're absolutely true. That's right." So I encourage you to do the same thing once again. Don't believe me. Prove it to yourselves. When you do something and you have an experience of your own of this stuff, it changes you. There's something that goes on within you that, I can't give it to you. No matter, if I had my blood brother here who's 4 years older than me and I love him dearly, I can't give him the understanding that I have because he hasn't had the experience. He hasn't gone out and searched the knowledge and the experiences and drawn this stuff to him and had it and then assimilated it. So understanding can be passed on. Knowledge and information can. And that's what we're doing here. But as well, because you guys all have hearts and have this innate knowledge within you, you'd know instantly if I was lying. And if we had kids in here or plants, they're really good indicators. They don't take any bullshit. They know they've got a really good bullshit meter. So
That's true.
there you go. There's an old saying in television and I think theater as well, never work with kids or animals. That's why, because they're like Zen masters, and you can't predict what they're going to do. Yes, Sarah.
My question is, how do you live with your family members who are
Muggles.
Different.
Muggles. I had a brother who was a doctor, and he was a man of science, and he was excellent with his clients. And when he found out that I trained in energy work, he would not speak to me.
Oh, wow.
You said your brother?
My brother.
His loss.
Yeah.
And please, don't take that personally.
No, I know, but, and yes, I am the weird one in the family. And so I'm
Most of
okay
us,
with it.
yes.
But it is a challenge because I have to keep my mouth shut.
Yes.
And I have to close down
Mhm.
in order to be accepted by,
Well, you're answering your question to the extent that that has worked for you in the past. That works. Drunvalo has often said, I don't know how many times I've heard him say this, that you guys are probably the black sheep of your family. That's how it happens. And again, perhaps you signed up and they signed up for you to be a catalyst at some point. Because, okay, this is a quick story around this. You guys know about New Zealand? There's a couple tribes there, native tribes. We call them Aboriginal tribes. The first one was called the Waitaha, and they've got a couple really good books out there. One of them called Song of the Waitaha, one of them called Whispers of Waitaha. But Waitaha means water bearers, and these are very peaceful people. They're very earth connected, and again, very much in their hearts and very much a harmonious vibration. They're living with the earth. The second tribe that we know more about is the Maori tribe, and they came after the Waitaha were already there and did their conquering thing. The Waitaha, they held this knowledge. They have an oral tradition, folks, that goes back 67 generations. This goes all the way back to Lemuria. They are the oldest oral tradition on the planet. So they literally hold these memories not just in their genetics like we do, but also in their storyline. So it's somewhat conscious. That got everyone's attention. So, what did the Waitaha do when the Maori came? They held space. They said, someday, these Maori's spirit is going to settle down. Their warriorness is going to settle down, and they're going to say, what are these people talking about with all their peace? What is all this about? Maybe they know something. And guess what happened? Exactly that. So this is one way. Just continue to hold your space. Stand strong and walk strong in your truth. This brings up another issue. What is truth? Truth is a pathless land. Truth cannot be given or taken away by anybody. It's a matter of perception. And what we're talking about is, the Buddhists say, two different kinds of truth. There's relative truth, which is our personal truth. So Jerry's got his, and Bill has his, and I've got mine. Cindy and Sarah, Xandra, Johnny, etc. This is our uniqueness. But there's also a universal absolute truth, which doesn't change, but what we can't really talk about, though all words point to that. All experiences point to that. So know that there's these two truths, and as long as you've got a personal truth and a personal being, stand strong and walk strong in it. Because that's what we're being called to do by Mother Earth, and again, the community around us. So who knows when they're going to get it? My brother, he can't come to one of these things. He can't come to one of these classes. He's not there yet. He might not be this lifetime. That's fine for him. My father is a fundamentalist Christian, and I love him dearly, but I can't talk to him about this kind of stuff. I don't bring it up at Thanksgiving or Christmas or anything like that. My mother's becoming a little bit more open. She has a scientific background. She was a medical technologist when she was younger, and she'll listen to what I say, and then like 6 months later, she'll be poking around on the internet and say, hey Jason, you know what you were telling me? Yeah, it's really real. I'm like, thanks. But who knows when they're gonna get it? So, like I say, just hold your vibration, hold your peace. And whether they get it or not is up to them. All right, so let's do a quick dowsing now that everyone's had that smudge stuff. And where is it, by the way?
I have it right there.
Okay. Be nice to get back, but not attached.
Oh, you didn't hear me.
No.
I didn't say,
You take it. So just do a quick dowsing, check in with yourself. And this is more about your field, you know, and your aura, your mental and emotional field around you, your pranic field.
So what are we checking for?
More clarity, ease or more easy communication, ease of communication, ease of connection.
I'm all fogged up.
I need to know that too. This is just a big experiment.
Jason, it's 9:15, so.
Okay, thanks. This last one will be really quick.
Okay.
We have to hand the emeralds and stuff, don't you?
I'm
want
sorry?
this- You want
Louder,
the
please.
emeralds and the shungite back, don't you?
Yeah, we can do that. So yeah, if you got the shungite, put it back in the pouches, and we'll just leave it on the chairs or something. I'll gather them up later. If you want to take the emeralds home, please do. Those who got them. If you guys want some, I'll send you extra special ones. So I got them. She gave them to me.
When is
Gotta go to
your
good light
class
workers.
scheduled? When is your class scheduled?
So I've got these up here as well. These are brochures. The class in Atlanta here is the 1st through the 4th of November. And it is at the annex of Phoenix and Dragon. So if you've been to Phoenix and Dragon, it's just down the hill from there. And we've got a room there. If enough of you guys come, we'll have to rent a larger room. So that would be a blessed thing. And if it doesn't happen, that's cool too.
And what's gonna happen in the training?
What's going to happen?
What's the training called?
The drain called?
The training?
What's the
Oh,
workshop?
Awakening the Illuminated Heart. Yes. And it is on Phoenix and Dragon's website already, on their events calendar in November. November 1st through the 4th.
It's beautiful.
Is it gold? I don't remember.
There's also a training or a workshop up in Asheville in October. It's, forget the dates. I think it's the 4th through the 7th, but don't quote me on that. It's early October. So if you'd like to come up to Asheville as well, please do so.
Is it the same workshop?
It's the same workshop. It's one moment. It's also in here. So everybody knows Conscious Life Journal, knows where to get it. There's what, 100 places around the
Well,
city?
I've got them here, so
Okay.
if you didn't get one, there's some outside on the table.
Just about gone. I think there's one left.
Oh, okay.
Regardless, my
I'll have it then.
phone number and email is in here, so you can always contact me through here, and I can help you through the registration process that way. However it flows.
Can you show us the books, Jason? Do you have the books?
I don't have the books.
Oh, okay.
No. There is, again, the Flower of Life, volumes 1 and 2. Those are, it's a good background to have, but it's not necessary for the workshop. One that is more pertinent, though, again, not necessary, it's gently suggested to read, is called Living in the Heart, and again, by Drunvalo Melchizedek. Same guy. He's got, I think, 5 or 6 books now, at least 5.
The last
Yes.
name Melchizedek, I haven't known anyone with that last name before. Is that truly his?
He changed his name. Yes, he's what's called a walk-in, and he walked into his body in 1972, I believe it was. Yes.
Did he just say Drunvalo's a walk-in?
Question back here. Everybody's going, did he just say Drunvalo's a walk-in?
Yes, Drunvalo is how I say it, is a walk-in. Drunvalo, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Did you
Yep.
say what the price of your workshop is?
The
It's
price,
not in the magazine.
$444, and it's for the full 4 days. That's a price that's set, again, by the School of Remembering, and if anybody would like to have a scholarship or payment plan, I do that all the time, so please just contact me. Don't let the price keep you from coming. What's more important to me than getting the money is your willingness to make deep shifts in your life. If you're ready to do this work, come. I don't care about the money on that level. Yes?
Did Drunvalo teach you all the universal truths, or how did you come about understanding those?
He, again, gave us information and knowledge, and I would say as well something else called transmission, which happens between living bodies. But beyond that, we got to figure it out ourselves. We have to, create our own experiences to move through all that stuff. It's sorry to say, but
I
yes.
know, it's one of my frustrating point.
Yes. So far we've had the stone realm, the plant realm, which is the smudge. You guys probably all have animal totems. We're not going to do that so much tonight. But you have been connecting to each other with love as well, so this is the human realm also. This time we're going to use the tool of energetics, and specifically vibration. So I was talking about the Sufis a little bit earlier and how they use these wazifas or mantras. You guys all know about the Hindu mantras and the Buddhist mantras, Om Mani Padme Hum, etc. So many mantras, so many words, so much mind. Just to cut to the quick of things, the Hindus have a really excellent, it's a syllable actually, it's called a seed syllable called Om. Anybody not heard of Om before? Excellent. So actually, Om, as they say, is the vibration of the universe. It is, quick aside here, just hold that thought, it's the vibration of the universe. When Bell Laboratories made radar, they found that there's this, wherever they pointed the thing, they pointed at their airplanes, they pointed at the sky, they pointed at buildings, they pointed at the earth, wherever they pointed their radar, they seemed to have this sort of static at a certain frequency. And they couldn't get it out of their system, and they're like, what's wrong, where's the bug in the system? They found Om. They found the vibration of this universe, and guess what it is? It's 7.23 hertz. Well, at least at that time it was. It's starting to raise now. But 7.23 hertz is just about the same length that you have in your index finger. Again, there's natural variation that goes on here. But we are directly linked to that. That's a little bit too much to go into, but realize that science has found this. And again, we couldn't fly our airplanes. Anybody not been on an airplane in here? We couldn't have done that without Bell Laboratories proving that there's this universal vibration. We just don't hear about it so much. It's kept on the down low. So Om is the vibration of Shakti. It's the vibration of this universe. They say that there's Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha is that point of source within you that actually doesn't change, and it's the witness. It witnesses change. So that's a change. How do I know that changed? Because something within me didn't. Something within you guys didn't. And that's the witness. That's your, again, direct connection to source. Now, everything else that changes and shifts and, all the glittering stuff of reality, quote unquote, that's the Shakti or the Prakriti. That's the mother aspect. Whereas the Purusha is the masculine aspect, the male aspect. So let that sort of ruminate and churn around in you for a while. But what we're going to do, just really quickly, is 3 ohms. Ohm, just 1 ohm, will change 3 things in your field. It changes what they say is your ojas, which is your blood flow, your tejas, which is your luminosity, and your akasha, which is the space around you, your atmosphere. So it purifies and harmonizes all 3 of these. So what do I mean by that? It purifies first in bringing all the stuff that's not of that otherness, that what we usually call spirit or God or great spirit, whatever you want to call it, the great mystery. It brings it all up. And then at some point it will harmonize it as well and bring it back into literally balance and harmony. This is what Om does. Yes?
Could you mention the 3? The first one was Our blood, the second, was it our aura?
Yes.
Luminosity.
And then
Luminosity.
the third one is,
Excuse me, your akasha, your space around you, your atmosphere, so to speak. The Sanskrit words are not necessary. So let's do it. So just 3 good ohms. And when we do this, it's not just OM, it's AOUMN, and it arises from silence and goes back into silence. So we'll have the silence first, and then we'll bring forth the Om, let it die back into silence, and we'll do that 3 times. See what happens. Big deep breath. One more. One last one. Anybody not notice a difference?
thank you.
Well, let's do it. You guys want to check with the dowsing? Okay, you proved it yourself.